Hi, I'm Jeff Zarnett. This is Software Career Growth. Today's topic, an introduction to what we're doing and what it's all about. So, this very inventively named series, Software Career Growth, is really about exactly that. It's about growing people in software careers. And we're going to talk about the why, we're going to talk about who I am and all of that. But ultimately, the goal of this is to give you some advice, to give you my opinion. And I want you to keep in mind, whenever you watch one of these videos, that whatever thing I say, it's just my opinion. I'm just speaking in general terms. Whatever I say might or might not be right for your particular situation, for the group of people that you work with, for whatever specific circumstances you find yourselves in. The most important thing is to use your judgment. Make good decisions, think about what makes sense and what doesn't. I hope you find some useful suggestions from what I talk about here. I hope some of it will be beneficial to you in some way. But if a particular piece of advice doesn't sound right to you, or doesn't sound like it is going to work, or just doesn't seem like something you would be comfortable doing, then by all means, use your judgment, do what works for you. Okay, so this prompts the obvious question, why are we talking about learning and growth? Why does it matter? What is the importance of this? Well, if you want to advance in your career, you're going to have to learn and grow to get there. And if you're not doing this, then ultimately there's kind of no route to getting to wherever it is you want to go. And that may be you want to be an individual contributor, just a more senior one. It might be that you would like to make a change to the management track at some point. Whatever you choose, you're going to need to continue your learning, continue your growth, get better year after year to help you achieve that goal. Moreover, if you're not growing, you're falling behind. It is just the reality that software is a very fast changing field. There's every year lots of new things that are launched, new technologies, new frameworks, new programming languages, new ways of doing things, new methodologies. Whatever is new, if we're not keeping up on it, we're falling behind. And if we're falling behind, that's going to be a problem. Right. At the time of recording, it's early 2023. At this juncture, a lot of companies have recently done some layoffs. Although individuals who are laid off may have had excellent skills and may have had wonderful knowledge, it's not necessarily anybody's fault that they were laid off. I mean, maybe you blame management, maybe I do. But in that circumstance, these people are going to be out there in the job market interviewing, looking for work. And someone who hasn't kept up their skills, someone who isn't learning new things continuously, is at a disadvantage as compared to someone who is. Okay, so why are we here? Ideally, you get a lot of the mentoring and learning and growth that you would need at your job. Right? Your manager cares deeply about your career progression, or at least cares enough about your career progression, invests time into helping you grow, into giving you opportunities, and what have you. That's the ideal case. Life isn't always this nice, and probably everyone has had at least one manager who did not care about that sort of thing very much at all. You could never really get any suggestions from them. Feedback comes once a year and is vague and unclear, and that's not a good situation to be in. So here I am. I will give you some suggestions, I will give you some growth ideas, I will give you whatever I can share, and my hope is that it's useful to you. But maybe you are getting some of this at work. Well, then you could think of this as a second opinion. If you are not sure that you agree with the advice, if you would like to get somebody else's point of view on things, even if you just think, hey, I might benefit from hearing another point of view, well, I'm here. I'll offer what I can. I recognize that the nature of this, where I'm recording a video and you're watching it, does not exactly lend itself to an interactive format. If you were able to have a one-on-one with me, then of course, it is a real back and forth. It is a conversation. It's not I speak from the podium and you listen. In which case, then, yeah, the advice that I could give would be much more tailored to you in particular and the situation that you're in. However, that's kind of not the situation that we have. This is a video, and ultimately, I give generic advice, which, once again, I'm really hoping is helpful to you, but I can't guarantee is an exact match to your situation. Okay, well, why should you listen to me? To a certain extent, like I said already, you should use your judgment about whether what I'm saying makes sense or not, and if it does, then take it, use it. If it doesn't make sense, then this isn't good advice to follow. But speaking about myself and my background, I've been a senior individual contributor in computer software. I guess I should back up a step a little bit and talk about, okay, I studied computer engineering and focused on software, did a master's degree in the subject, and I worked in industry at this point for more than 10 years. And I've been an individual contributor, starting with junior, working my way all the way up to becoming much more senior, and being a senior and serious individual contributor. But I've also gone over to management, and I've done management. I've done first level management, team lead, up to people management, up to managing managers. So I have some experiences. I certainly do not have experience in every kind of industry, in every kind of role, nor am I the kind of person, I have 47 years of experience in being a people manager, and so I recognize there are things that I don't know, and still much that I myself have to learn, but my hope is that you can benefit from what I share with you. In addition to that, and you've probably noticed this if you've been poking around the YouTube channel that this is on, I also work as a lecturer at a university, so I spend lots of time teaching people, and I think that makes a difference in how I relate to teaching someone in a mentorship role, not just a student-teacher kind of scenario. So, like I say, I come to this with some experience. I would like to think I have something useful to say, but I recognize that I'm not an all-knowing guru, and I don't necessarily know everything about everything, and that's okay. So, on the subject of this learning and growth, right? I mentioned managers, and I said hopefully you're getting learning and growth from your manager, but maybe you're a manager watching this. And if that's the case, then there will be content here for you as well. I am in fact planning to have different videos about different topics, some of which will be more individual contributor type material, in which case I'm talking about, okay, how do we get better at engineering, or how do we get better at the process of building things. But I also plan to have some videos about management, and this will range ideally from stuff like what happens when you become a manager, to if you need to hire people into your team, to how to have effective one-on-one meetings with your team members. And so if you are a manager and you're not thinking about the career growth of the people in your team, now's a good time to start, and I will hopefully be your guide along the way. With that said, I have at this point a few ideas in mind, and by the time you're watching this, there's a distinct possibility that I've got quite a lengthy playlist because I've managed to record a lot of the ideas that I'm thinking about. However, I am always open to hearing your suggestions about what are some new ideas that I could talk about, or answering specific things. I will try to anonymize anything if your question is very specific about a certain scenario. I will try to anonymize it so that it can't necessarily relate just to you, but will be interesting to a general audience as much as possible. So if you leave a comment telling me that's something you'd like me to talk about, for example, advice that I would give to new grads, becoming a junior software engineer, something like that, I would be happy to talk about that. Of course, probably that video may exist at the time, but whatever's on your mind, I would be happy to talk about that sort of thing. And I think just philosophically that this should be something that you can come back to kind of at any time. That software career growth talks about, yes, how do I become a senior engineer, or how do I transition to being a manager, but also what should happen if I'm taking on a new responsibility. So I've volunteered to go on call. What does that look like? What should I know? What should I do? And there are existing videos about this, and I recognize that I'm not coming up with anything completely radical, but my hope is that you will come back periodically anytime you are thinking about or have taken on a new responsibility, whether that's a new role or just a new task that you do, and that this content will be beneficial in giving you the education, really, that you need to get started on that and be successful, and to work your way towards that if you're not there yet, but you would like to be. So that more or less wraps up the introduction for this topic. Watch the playlist for some additional videos, and here's hoping that you find something that's to your interest. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.